Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Dr. Horschig from SquatUniversity. Today, I want to share with you an experience I had recently in evaluating one of the best powerlifters in the world today, and that's JP Price. If you guys don't know who JP is, he ranks 5th all-time in powerlifting with sleeves with a total of 2,364 between the 3 lifts. Now, his 3 best lifts are 1,003 squat, 639 bench, and 765 pounds in the deadlift. In fact, he's the only person in the world ever to squat over 1,000 pounds and bench over 600 pounds. Now today, I want this material to be a little bit more of a case study. I'm gonna go through with you guys the different types of issues he's been having with his hips and low back and also his elbow. Some of the material may not be the best here, so I'm gonna voice over what we were going through and some of the different tests that we were able to do.
JP had been experiencing a tremendous amount of pain in his right hip, SI joint, and low back for a good amount of time. As you can see in this video, he's showing a small windmill-like twist on the ascent portion of the first lift. As you can see when we slow down his second lift, he really shifts to the right and twists to the left on the ascent. This is something that persisted as his pain grew with other heavy attempts. As you can see here with 695 on the bar, he hits a balanced bottom position but then shifts to the right on his way up. One of the first tests we performed was a single leg bridge test on each side, starting with his left. He reported feeling his glute kick on well as the main muscle driving his hip extension as he lifted his body off the ground. However, when he performed the same movement on the right leg, his symptomatic side, he instantly felt his hamstrings kick on to lift his hips and even a little irritation in the right side SI joint. This screen revealed that he was having an issue symmetrically coordinating his glutes to kick on at the same time. This means when rising from a heavy squat, his right glute was basically asleep and calling on other parts of his body, such as his hamstrings and low back extensors, to work more than they should. Next, I had him lie on his side and we tested the strength of his lateral hip muscle, the glute medius. Again, I started with his left hip and had him try to resist me pushing his leg back down to the floor from the start position. As you can see, his hip strength easily allowed him to keep his leg from moving. However, when I moved to the right hip, it was a different story. I was able to easily force his leg back to the ground, meaning he had a weak link in lateral hip strength. A test we performed that I didn't catch on video was a load tolerance test for core stability. I asked him to relax his core muscles like I'm showing and lift a weight to shoulder height. This motion brought about a small amount of pain in his lower back and SI region on his right side. I then asked him to brace his core as if he was about to get punched in the stomach and then lift the plate again. This time he no longer experienced any pain, meaning another factor contributing to his issues was a load intolerance due to a lack of proper core stability. Last, I asked him to perform a single leg squat on each side. As you can see, JP was almost able to perform a full depth pistol squat at 350 pounds on his right side, the side that he felt strongest in, but was also the side that he was having pain on. He, however, struggled to control his leg and body when trying to do the same movement on his left side, the side without any symptom. Therefore, in order to fix the issue, we had to start by addressing the initial why behind the injury with exercises that address these imbalances rather than to try to treat the specific symptoms. Because he noticed this imbalance first with a single leg bridge, we regressed to the double leg version as our fix. With the resistance band across his knees, I cued him to drive his heels into the ground, brace his core, and lift his hips off the ground. During the first hold of 5 seconds, he noted some low back pain. This was likely occurring because he was extending from his low back rather than from his hip joint, a reason why his pain did not come out on the descent of the squat, but rather at the start of the ascent.
Pretty extended right now. It makes me feel a lot of pain there.
You're having pain on this side when you're doing that? Okay.
Like when I'm in extension, I feel pain.
Let's do this, friend.
Like hard extension.
I want you to tilt your pelvis under a little bit first, and then come up.
That's better.
That changes it. Okay.
Now more butt squeeze.
There you go. That's what I want. So what that's saying also is that a lot of your SI issue is coming from probably being overextended.
Yeah.
You used to squat for much more upright for a long time.
Right.
And then whenever you're having the issues where you're much more bent over, which means your body's compensated to try to get back upright or probably just overextending at that low back. So we're going to need to fix the issue by first addressing the glutes. Obviously, mobility isn't too bad at the bottom, but then by addressing the glutes, you'll be able to remain more upright with the core stability work, but not overextend from a certain portion. Likely, you're getting a lot of that overextension from one particular part, which is that L5, S1 area, probably. But that feels better when you do it like that.
For sure.
The goal wasn't to put him into a posterior pelvic tilt, but to ensure instead a more neutral spine. Next, I wanted to focus on the lateral hip strength and balance. I decided to go with the side plank clamshell. This exercise is not only great at activating the glute medius by opening the leg, but also the downside glute medius as a stabilizer to keep the hips up. It is also a great core stability exercise that JP could use to prime his hips and core prior to training. On each side, I had him perform a few reps with a 3 to 5 second hold with an opening of the clam, and he really noticed his downside glute medius burning after that.
Okay. Good, yep, just like that, and then open. Good. 5 seconds, down, good. You should start feeling this not only up here, but you're also going to feel it in that down lateral hip as well.
Yeah, I definitely feel it in the down lateral hip more.
Yeah, yeah, so try that other side. Try to get that right hip off the ground just a little bit more. There you go. Feel that pretty good?
Definitely in the down hip more.
There you go.
I then had JP perform the bird dog exercise. This is one of my favorite of the McGill Big 3 core stability exercise, named after the renowned back expert Dr. Stuart McGill. The goal is to ensure the back remains in a neutral position with the leg and opposite side arm extending. I had JP start with 5 repetitions for a 10-second extended hold.
Try to keep that back flat as possible. Okay, extend that heel. Okay, 10 seconds on the hold. Now when you come back, this should not move at all. So try to slowly come back to that position. Good, and then kick straight back out again. Good, better. Okay, brace that core like crazy. While you're in this position, you can also try to tighten that glute up like crazy. There you go, and again, because that heel's back, you're not overextending at that low back. How's this feel? You feel that core kicking on like crazy? Try the right side now.
I'm not great at activating my core, but
Yeah.
so it's tucked under or flat.
I would say flat. Okay. Yeah. And so let's get those hips forward a little bit more. Right about, let's have hands up here. There you go. Just a little bit right there. Okay. So tighten, like someone's doing a puncher. Yeah, basically. Yeah. And then from here, okay, kick straight back that right heel. Good. There you go. Now, automatically, I saw when you try to kick back, you already extend from that low back a little bit more so than you did on the left side. Right. Okay, so really make sure that that core doesn't move at all. Okay, now when you bring that in, tight, 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 tight. Good. A lot of times people, as soon as they start bringing it in, the core will shut off. So one more, tighten, then go. Good. Heel back, heel, heel, heel. There you go. Good. 10 full seconds. Back in, nice and slow. Don't let that move. Tight, tight, tight.
As you can see, it was difficult for him to extend his hips from the flex position without moving his back. Another clue to why his pain was starting when rising from the deep squat position. Next, I wanted JP to perform his first set of warm-ups with the barbell and with a band across his knees. The goal was to perform a slow descent with a few pauses on the ascent. With each pause, I wanted JP to focus on whether or not he was balanced and equally activating his glutes.
Feel for that balance point between the middle of the foot, whole foot jammed to the ground. Sometimes too, pause like right there. And you're gonna pause in different positions. So let's go down 3 more inches. Pause. Good. Go down to the very bottom. Good. And then back up. I want you to come up. Pause. Hold. Up a little bit more. Pause. Hold. Then all the way back up. Feel a difference on those? Those are going to be huge because your issue doesn't start until the ascent. Right. So if you can come down controlled, but then on the way back up, do significant small pauses all the way up, that's going to be huge for getting those glutes to turn on. Right.
Here's a quick video of JP performing these with his first set at 135 pounds a few days later. Because JP showed a good amount of difficulty in side-to-side difference in his ability to perform even a small single leg squat, I then had to perform a touchdown squat off a stack of 2 plates. While JP clearly doesn't ever have to perform a deep single leg squat in competition, having the ability to perform a single leg squat with good quality and proper coordination on each leg, even off a small height, will be a game changer in how his body is able to function when on 2 legs.
So hips back, engage the glutes, tap, back up, good. Nice and slow. Good. Bust out 15 of these right now. Nice and slow, nice and slow.
reason we're doing a lot of repetitions of this is that lateral glute medius and the glute that we're focusing on as far as the stability aspect has to be endurance-based as far as our ability to gain that ability to limit excessive motion through glute takeout.
Right on the outside.
Exactly.
How on the inside, on the outside.
Exactly, that's what we want. Yeah, try that other side. So stuff like this, adding in after your training, small little corrective exercises that are going to work on building back those small weak links in stability are going to be huge. And if you're feeling your glute burning like crazy, you're doing it right. And you can see that little knee wobble right there. Because sometimes, even though you have pain on your right side right now, in that S side, you may have a weak link in dynamic control on your left side that, even though you don't have pain, it's still shifting you to your right side.
Right.
You know
My right side, even though it's my more stable side,
you said it's your stronger side.
my left side is easier to do.
There you go. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that would be huge as well. So there's 5.
Okay.
Exactly. So I don't want to overload you. There's most.
And not one
5
post
minutes.
workout.
Post workout, yeah. Because you can do it beforehand, but I think really, I mean, your main goal is during your workout.
Should
Let's
this
get
be
these
daily or just on lower body days?
So here's the deal. I would say the side plank clamshells in the bridges have to be daily.
Yeah.
The other ones, I think let's do them just before workout. Because, I mean, barbell, you're only going to get the knees on with that. Actually, the burn dogs, I would do those 3 days.
Okay.
Those would be huge. Consistency is going to be big. But I think, I mean, if you were to get onto the barbell after doing those right now, you're already going to feel better.
Right.
And that's going to be your big guess and check kind of thing. Because if you're doing the right things, you're going to feel so much more efficient when you get onto that barbell.
Right.
Even if it's not yet at the higher weight, those 135, the 150, 500, 600, 700, you're going to feel that much more confident with the weight. Yeah. So let's go back over and let's do upper body.
We went on then to work on finding why he had his right-sided elbow and forearm pain. I started with a simple upper body mobility screen. As you can see, he performs the wall angel, and as he lowers his arms down to his side, his right arm is unable to stay flat against the wall compared to his left. I then used a simple breakout screen to determine if he had a flexibility restriction in his right lats and teres major compared to his left side. With his arms in an externally rotated position, he was able to show more range of motion on his left side in bringing his arm over his head compared to his right, meaning part of his problem was a flexibility issue of these muscles that are powerful internal rotators. Because they were stiff and not flexible, they were limiting his ability to externally rotate sufficiently and get into a good technical position during overhead pressing motions. As soon as I had him grab a barbell, he could feel pain in his right elbow just holding it. I then had him perform some foam rolling to those affected areas, his lats and teres major, and after 2 minutes, he grabbed a barbell again. He no longer had pain while holding the barbell. If he continued to try to contract his muscles to perform the press, it was still there, but we were able to make an efficient change in how he felt getting into that position with one corrective exercise. As you can also see, he had better range of motion after performing that one foam roller, meaning we were on the right track. I then tested his strength with a 90-90 external rotation strength test. While he appeared to be strong, you can see that he liked to compensate with his anterior delt and chest to try to halt the forward movement of his arm. The next strength test, I had him lie on his stomach, and it was easier for me to push his arm down with only 2 fingers, meaning we had a significant amount of weakness and instability in the posterior shoulder complex as well. I showed JP a simple 90-degree external rotation exercise intended to help him fix his imbalance of weak posterior shoulder strength and stability in the position his problem came out in, at about shoulder height. I had him perform a few reps where the goal is not just to perform the movement, but also perform holds at the end position and feel for those muscles that surround the back of the shoulder kicking on.
Now your big thing that you're looking for is when you come up here, don't let that shoulder roll forward as you do it. So really feel for that back side of the shoulder.
You set your scapula.
Yeah, so really retract. You're just gonna hold. Yeah, basically, yeah. So try it with the left side first, actually.
Does it need to, do you want it in the inside of the hand or outside?
Whatever works best for you. Yeah. So pull down, okay, back. Now here's the big thing, is the hold. Not just the ability to move, because you're strong as hell, but you gotta be able to hold back there. So I want a 5-second hold. Try 5 on this side, and then we'll do 5 on the other side. Feel for if there's a difference in activation of the posterior cuff whenever you're doing this.
The last exercise I showed JP was the prone floor angel. This is a great exercise for priming the muscles that lie on the backside of the body and connect to the shoulder blades like the mid-trap and rhomboids, as well as the shoulder joint like the rotator cuff muscles. He was instructed to raise his arms off the ground by squeezing his shoulder blades, Keep them locked down as he bent his elbows into a back squat hold position before rising them over his head as far as possible. After a few reps, he could definitely feel those muscles working, meaning we were turning on and priming the why behind his elbow pain.
Now, after the entire evaluation process, there were a few factors that really stuck out as to the why behind his continued issues. For example, he had imbalances. He had an inability to turn on and properly activate his glute max and his glute medius, the muscle on the side of the hip. He also had a problem in balance. He actually felt much more stable squatting on one leg on the right side. And if you've never seen a 350-pound man almost do a full pistol squat, it's pretty amazing. But here's the problem. His pain was actually on the right side of his body as far as his hip and SI joint. So it's leading me to think that the issues in creating that pain and why it's still there is not only due to just balance, but it's also muscle activation and poor coordination. So all those things really coming together. Now, he also had an issue with his core. We found that he was extension intolerant. He was only able to lay on his stomach for a minute or so before he started getting that achiness low deep in his back. He also was load intolerant. Now, yes, he's able to lift a ton of weight, but when I asked him to just pick up a weight without bracing his core, he felt pain in his low back. As soon as I told him how to properly activate his core by bracing like I'm about to punch him right in the stomach and then lift a weight out in front of him, he did not have pain. Meaning that if we're able to improve his ability to stabilize his low back correctly, we're able to fix one of the factors behind his continued injury. Now, as far as his upper body was concerned, I think a lot of his issues stemmed from his shoulder, even though the symptoms were at the elbow. We found that he also had imbalances there, just like his lower body. He had mobility imbalances in that he had stiff lats and a teres major muscle on his right side compared to his left. This meant that he was unable to fully externally rotate his shoulder into a good position. Now, whenever you're having weight and pushing weight above your head, if you have an imbalance one side versus the other as far as your mobility goes, you're going to be sustaining forces all the way down your arm in an uneven manner, and eventually those tissues can get overloaded and pain can ensue. Another factor in his continued elbow pain was the fact that he had weak external rotators and poor posterior shoulder strength. There were two tests that I did, one where he was on his stomach and I was able to pretty easily push down his arm, and when I had his arm up here, he was compensating a lot with the front side of his shoulder. Now, being a very strong guy, he can bench well over 600 pounds. What that's showing me was that he had an imbalance in that the front side of his body was much stronger than the back side of his body. And what happens is that when you have imbalances like this, your body is going to start handling forces and loads differently and inefficiently. Whenever you're doing a press overhead, if you're having imbalances in the way that your shoulder is stabilizing the shoulder joint, you're going to be transferring forces down to other parts of the body that are more vulnerable, and eventually pain can ensue. So I hope you guys liked today's case study material. I hope that you were able to get something out of it. The big thing that I try to tell JP is the fixes that I give people are not overnight successes. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and the issues are going to be gone. It's taken you a while to get into this position, so it's going to take you a while to get out of it. The different corrective exercises that I give people are meant to be done almost every single day. When you have consistency to a plan that's going to fix on all the small building blocks that are currently the whys behind your pain, eventually you're going to build yourself out of that current situation you're in, and you're going to start to see some success. You're going to start to feel more stable. You're going to start to feel like you're moving a little bit more efficiently. It takes time, but with consistency and dedication, every corrective exercise that I showed JP should be able to give him the foundation to eventually get back to lifting at 100% and pain-free. I hope you guys, again, liked today's show. If you did, please share them with your friends, like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comment section below if you have any questions about this case study today. And yeah, we're going to check back in with JP here in a few months and see how everything's going.